Everyself, fellow Istarians, and welcome back in my dragon lair. Yeah, you might have heard the bad news. I accidentally deleted Cardia. I already told you how it happened, so I'm not going to do that again. I'm just really sorry about it, but I'm actually lucky I wasn't too far into the game yet. Better now than later. So I decided to do a new tutorial because I just simply got better. I talk more fluently and I want to do this as good as possible because Istaria is my favorite game and I want to show it off correctly. Okay, now on to the video. In the last tutorial I showed you how to download the game, how to install it and how to make an account for it. Now we move on to the basics, including fighting and crafting. If you're still not sure about getting Istaria, here is a nice game overview from Fire97 Dragon on YouTube. I highly recommend watching it as it explains a lot about the game and will help you decide if you should get it or not. Now, after you started the launcher with the desktop icon, which should have been created on installation, you just have to enter your username and your password and hit the login button. Welcome to your character window. On the left side, you see your characters, and in the middle, you can see some information about your currently selected character, like the shard they're on, the location, their coin, and so on. These buttons pretty much explain themselves. I'm just gonna quickly go over them. With the new button, you can create a new character. With the portrait, you can customize a character's portrait. Just make sure they have the right sizes, like for the small one, 60 by 60, and for the big one, 200 by 200. I spent some time creating those, you can believe me. Working with Psy and such. With the delete button, you can delete the currently selected character. With the copy button, you can copy your character over to the test server. I'm just gonna go over that later. With the recall button, you can recall the character to its bind spot. I will explain that later as well, don't worry about it. With the archive button, you can send a character to the archive. That can actually be really useful. Currently, I have more characters than a free account would allow me to have. So if I would go back to my free account, I would have to archive the rest of my characters that I don't want to use, if I don't want to delete them. So if I want to go back to a subscription later on, I can get those characters back out of the archive for a little bit of money, because it is work for the developers to get them back out of the archive. With the refresh button, you can just refresh the status of the shards. The deliverables are a special currency to buy special stuff in game. You can get some when you pay for a subscription. Those special things are like masks, cargo discs, and other items. You just have to poke around a little bit in what you can buy. In the account services, you have some basic information about your account. How many characters you can have, how many consignments you can have, how many logins at the same time, the plots that you're allowed to have, and your task characters. The shard status explains the current status of the servers. The servers of Istaria are called shards. We have 3 of them currently. The Chaos and Order are the live servers, and the Blight is the testing server. Basically, the Blight server is going through every update first, so there are expected to be some bugs when you go on there. But on the other side, you can maybe join the Istaria Discord and become one of the testers and point out some bugs to the developers before it goes onto the live service. Also, the Blight server does have an all-time ongoing double experience event, so basically you level up faster on the Blight server. In the updates window, you'll see some recent updates that have been added to the game. If you hit the More button, it will open up the browser in which you can read more about it. The news? Yeah, it shows some recent news, which we currently don't have any. Alright, so now I want to start a new character with you on the Chaos server. We just hit New, and then we get to select the server. Chaos and Order are the normal servers, even though Order is a role-playing server. They're focusing more on role-playing there, and as you see, Blight is testing. Chaos is just recommended because most players are currently on Chaos, so we're gonna go visit Chaos. Hit the create button and I'll see you in the character creation. Welcome back. This is a character creation. So, some basic informations. Istaria has 11 races in total, 10 bipeds, the non-dragon races, or Nakadruskal as they're called by the dragons in their language, and the dragon race. The races are the humans, the dwarves, the fiends, the Saris, the elves, the slick, which are still considered a biped race because, yeah, just because they have scales, they're not dragons. The half giants, the gnomes, the satyr, the dryads, and last but not least, the dragons. Now, note, you can't select a gender on the dragons or the slick as they would both look the same. You just have to look out for their names and ask the players if their character is meant to be a female or male character. Each race starts with their own special abilities and attributes. Dragons, for example, have a fire breath and armored scales. Dragons are kind of a race for themselves. According to their lore, they consider themselves the upper race of Istaria. They're probably the best race to start off with, so we're going to go for a dragon. If you want to read the description, the dragons are scaled, winged beasts capable of flight as they mature. They possess an unmatched raw strength while possessing keen power and focus. Dragons have their own distinct schools. Yeah, about that. Dragons are, yeah, kind of a race for themselves. There's also a huge difference in their schools compared to bipeds. For example, the bipeds have 27 adventure schools and 19 craft schools, while the dragons have only 1 adventure school and 3 craft schools. You should definitely try out both. They're both interesting, but the dragons are the easiest. You get used to the game because they're easier to play and they aren't as complex as the bipeds. Dragons are also the most editable characters in the game. You can go crazy here. Pink is not an exception. They do have a disadvantage against bipeds, sadly. There's no real visible armor later on in the game, but you can wear scarves, masks, and shoulder pads. Just grab the nearest dryad and glue it to your shoulder. I'm just not going to guarantee that the dryad will appreciate that. You can spend hours in the character creation. Play around with the body texture and the scale color as the shades of the color change with the textures ending in brighter or darker colors. I'm just going to show you quickly. Here, the scale color and the body texture. Currently it's just simple black. If I change the body texture to something else higher up, the black becomes brighter or even gray. If I go even further, it becomes even brighter. So play around a little bit with that. You can make a lot of color combinations, as well with the decals and the decal color. I think those change for the body texture as well. In creation, you can switch the age of your dragon to adult and ancient here, but be aware, you still start off as a hatchling. This is just so you can see how the dragon will look like as an adult or ancient dragon. I'm not gonna do this because I don't want to spoil myself. I want this all to be a surprise because this has been a recent addition and I grew up with the surprise of growing up. So you can do it if you want to. I don't want this spoiler. So I'm just going to skip this character creation and I'll see you when I'm done with my character. Till then. Alright, now I chose this little black beauty here as she is supposed to be Pryzm's and Mazurgal's offspring. If you know Mazurgal, he's a pretty black dragon, and Pryzm, so me, I'm really much grey. She has some parts of me, so don't worry. I'll also write a journal about her adventure from her point of view, so stay tuned for that. If you're happy with your creation, hit the next button down here, and you can choose a name for your character. The last name is not a requirement. I'm going to name her Cardia Blackwing. And give her a last name anyway. Blackwing after her father. Now, when you're done with everything, hit the play button. Verification of the name will be done because there can't exist 2 characters with the same name, and I'll see you when it's done. Welcome to the tutorial island of Skulkar. Now the bipeds start on another island named Spirit Island, so this is dragon only area. You get a basic tutorial, which most people skip sadly. I'm going to explain it to you though. Welcome to Istaria, Cardia Blackwing. If this is your first visit, we strongly urge you to try this tutorial. As you proceed, blue windows just like this one will instruct you in the basics of playing Istaria. Continue with the tutorial. The first thing you need to learn is how to maneuver your character. The arrow keys on your keyboard are one way to make your character move. The up arrow will move you forward, and the back arrow will move, and the down arrow will move you backward. The left arrow and the right arrow are used to turn your character in place. This can also be done with WASD, by the way. Not that hard. To slow down, hit the keypad divide key to toggle between run and walk modes. So if I basically hit keypad divide, your character will walk slow. And I can press the numlock button to toggle auto forward mode and on and off. Basically means carefree travel. I hit the button and I don't have to do anything. She'll just walk on herself. To step right, press E. And to step left, press Q. To jump, just space. That's all for the movement tutorial. Note, you can reassign keyboard shortcuts anytime. Click change key bindings and I will show you where. Actually, they forgot one tutorial. It's a camera tutorial. You can open it by pressing the launcher menu button down here and look for camera. Now this little window just opened. To turn your character, rotate your camera around your character. You can use these two buttons to turn it up and down, these two. You can zoom in and zoom out. You can even go into first person view and back to third person view and make a screenshot. Lock position just means that the camera will be locked into position and follow just in position around with your character. Just note, when you walk too far away from your camera, it will snap back eventually. Just as well when you walk behind another object. The same effect can be done with your num keys. 4 and 6, rotate the camera around your character. 8 and 2, move it up and down. With the mouse wheel, you can zoom in and out. And with enter, you come into first person. Press enter again, you come back. With 5, you can lock the camera in position. Pretty simple, you just have to remember some of the controls. It's not too much though. Now, on to change the key bindings. Let's close the camera tutorial. You can optionally change your key bindings now. Option window can also be accessed from the launcher menu at any time in the future. So, this little button down here, options. It's the same window basically. Now, you don't have to do this, but I want to change some key bindings for myself because I'm used to the old key bindings of Istaria. They kind of updated them somewhere along in the future. I want to change step left and step right to semicolon and apostrophe because I need both Q and E for something else. I'll put the run modifier to J, and up and jump I'll put it to Q because that's just more convenient for me. Sleep and stand might be something interesting for you. Let me just quickly change the key and hit apply because I want to show it to you. If I now hit the key for stand sleep, your character will make this cute little animation and go to sleep. If someone is trying to PM you now, they will get a nice little message that you're AFK. So this button does actually have a purpose. It hasn't been added too long ago actually, and I really like this animation and the purpose of it. Now, I also want to change... Where did I see it? The equipment window to E, because I need it a lot. I want to change the notepad to shift. It's not important, it's just for myself, don't worry. And toggle interface to N. Oh yeah, let me show you toggle interface pretty quick as well. If I hit apply and now the N key for toggle interface, the whole HUD disappears. This actually makes a good point to make a screenshot, which you can also make with F12 by the way. Make a screenshot and hit N again to bring back your HUD. Where's the camera lock position? Here. I want to change this to L because I'm not used to keypad 5. Now, if something turns red, it means that there's somewhere else already assigned to this key. Just go through the list and search for where it is. So I'm just going to quickly change this to another key. Now, oh yeah, these two also. I need them to be on F10 and F11. Those are just a little bit useful for combat. You can remember which keys they're on for you. I'm just used to my key bindings. Now I think I've done everything I wanted to do. When I'm done, I hit the apply button and we can go on. Remember to use the help button on the right side of any Windows title bar if you have questions about that window. Let me just quickly reopen the options and show you what it means. This is the help button. If you're unsure about the purpose of a window, for example, all of these tabs here, you can ask this help button and everything will be explained to you. Maybe I'll make an extra video about that, so stay tuned for that. Now I'll move on to explain you the entire HUD. You can skip to the next video if you don't want to know anything about this and learn it for yourselves, but I'll change the look of my HUD dramatically as there are a lot of customizable things I can do. Everything as I prefer it to be, actually. I can make a whole mess of the screen. So if you don't want to see this part, just skip to the next video, which is going to be about adventuring. See you then in the next video if you don't want to see this. Bye! Alright, for those who are still here with me, you can basically move around literally every window and make a total mess of your screen. That's really unique for a game, as most of the windows are locked in place and you can't move anything around. Okay, let's start with the action window, this window up here. I'm quickly going to explain the buttons to you. Recall basically recalls you to your current bind spot. I'll explain this later. Stop action stops your current action, whatever you're doing. Attack triggers a basic attack on mobs. Gather lets you gather resources from nodes. With trade, you can trade with other players or NPCs that want to trade with you. With greet, you can greet other players or NPCs. Just note, if you greet other players, they will get a PM stating hello. With create item, you can call onto your knowledge window. And with sit stand, you just basically sit down or stand up. And stand up again. Okay, you can basically edit every single window. The actions window does have something special, because if you right click it, you can also select simple mode or extended mode. I want to leave it in the extended mode because, yeah, it's more useful for beginners. Now if you right click it, you can also change the properties. In here you can change the window transparency, the border transparency, show its title, which is useful to call upon this learn about window button. You can completely hide the border. You can choose auto hide on, which auto hide makes the window shrink into the screen edge when the mouse is not over it. I'm gonna leave that out because I don't need it. And you can lock it in position wherever you want to. You hit the OK button now. There's no accidental moving around of the window. And this you can basically do with every window. The next window is your status window. This also has a simple mode, but I wouldn't recommend it because as a beginner you probably want to see everything. The red bar is your health. You also have it in numbers right next to it. The green bar is your current adventure level, which is Dragon. It also shows the level in numbers. And if you go over it with a toolbar, you can see how much percent or numbers, how much experience you still need to level up. The purple one is your craft school, which is currently Dragon Crafter, DCRA, level 1. If you go over it with a tooltip, it's the same. You see how much experience is still needed to level up. The brown one is your inventory. It shows how much of your inventory capacity has been filled. You can upgrade it later through new skill packs and quests. If you quickly open your equipment window, this is your scale pack. It's a starting dragon scale pack. Later on, you can craft or buy new skill packs to enhance the inventory. I'm going to explain this all later. I just wanted to give you a quick hint about this. Now, let's quickly change the properties of this as well, because I like my windows to be transparent. Make it a little bit longer and lock it in position. The next one is the menu button. I want this one to be in the upper right. I just right click it and move to upper right. You don't have to do this, but it's more convenient for me because later on I'll need this little space down here. Now the target window, this little window here, which is currently empty, but if you click at something, NPC or whatever, you get some information like the guild, which is hatchling emissary for Spitfire, the rating, which is some calculation of their adventure schools. If you're a Naka draw skull, they have more adventure schools than just one. Rating is calculated of the levels of those adventure schools. Their current adventure school and level. You see their health in a red bar, as well as in numbers, the distance that you have to this character, and you see this little arrow key here. It actually shows you the direction to that character from the point of view of your character, which means if I turn the camera around my character, the arrow still points forward because my character didn't change positions. If I turn the character, however, the arrow will change because, yeah, it's a point of view from the character. Just position the camera behind your character if you want to find something and don't know how. Just look out for this little arrow. Now, let's change the properties as well. I want you to be up here and a little bit longer. I can change the transparency and lock it in position. Next one is the effects window. The effects window displays any effects that are acting on your character currently. Hover your mouse pointer over an effect to see a tooltip with the effect's name and remaining duration. The only active effect currently is the road bonus. It doesn't have a duration because as long as you're on the road, you get this road bonus. You can right click at any effect to show their details. Right click, show details. The road bonus gives you a speed increase by 25 while you're on a road. Yeah, the roads of Istaria do actually have a purpose, not like in other games. The effects window should be up here. I'm gonna make it a little bit longer because later on there will be a lot of effects taking place on you when you get a lot of buffs from other Nakas and other dragons, whatever you prefer. Now let's quickly change the properties of this as well and lock it in position. Next one I want to talk about is your compass. This little line here in the middle shows you the current direction that your character is facing. Not your camera, but your character. Remember that, okay? The compass also shows your position. Down here, if you right click on it, you can also show the map, which also can be opened with the M key. I don't need this right now. I will explain the map to you later. Don't worry about that. Also, if you right click on it, you can copy your position. If you need to tell the position to someone, just right click onto the compass, copy your position, go to your chat window and Control V, which just copies your position into the chat, and then you can tell it to anyone that you want to. To actually read the position, I gotta open the map. You see, when I go over the map, you see some numbers appearing up here. This is the current position of the mouse cursor. This is how people are actually going to be able to find this position. I think you can also enter it into the search bar with Control V and search for it. And then the map will center over exactly that position, and then it's pretty easy to find something. If you're searching for bosses or mobs or something else, it's pretty easy actually. I'll come back to this later though. Now, let's quickly change the properties, because I don't want you to be not transparent as well. I want you to be placed under the target window and lock it in position. The next thing I want to talk about is the hotkey bar. This is your hotkey bar. The hotkey bar is a key point in your adventure. Istaria is not like you left click and swing a sword, or in this case, swing your claw. You need to click at your target to select it, and then you select one of the abilities that you will put into your hotkey bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. For example, if you want to bite something, you need the ability bite. You put it in here, you need to select something. If you're close enough and hit the hotkey bar, then you will bite the target. You can't actually bite NPCs. They are friendly. You don't want to bite them. But that's basically the principle of it. You can have more than just one hotkey bar open. Right click on it and new hotkey bar. Or you go to the launcher menu. And somewhere in here should be hotkey bars if you ever manage to close them on accident. Hotkeys, here. That will open a new hotkey bar. In the horizontal, I don't know, just right click on it and vertical alignment. So, just make sure to give it a new number, a different one. Because if you now put an ability into hotkey bar 1, slot 1, the same ability will appear in the other ones. Just make sure you have different numbers up here. I'm going to open 4 for now because I don't need much more at the moment. Number 1 here is the primary one. You can see this at this little bluish glow over here. You can actually play Istaria with the hotkey bars only when you know the key bindings for it. With the key combo, I think in this in this case it's shift. Let me move the mouse. Shift 2, 3, 4, 5. You see the number is changing. You have 20 hotkey bars, but I think you can only go to 10 by doing this with control shift 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So with this key combo, you can change the number of the primary hotkey bar, and with hitting the keys 0 to 9 after that, you can use the abilities with your keyboard only, basically. You can, if you know every key binding, you don't even need a mouse to play Istaria. I'm gonna go a bit deeper into hotkeys and abilities in the next video, so you can ignore this tutorial if it pops up for now. Now, I'm going to edit those a little bit. I want this to be transparent, as well as a border. I'm gonna put it down here. Huh? Do you want to? Do you not want to? And lock it in position so I don't accidentally move it around or something like that. I'm almost going to do the same with the others. It's just that I want those to be in simple mode. And lock it in position. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll do the same to the other two. Now you see, I only need 4 at the moment. We're probably gonna need more in the future. I'm going to show you a screenshot of Pryzm. I have a lot of open hotkey bars because I'm a crafter at heart and I don't really like to search for the formulae, so I put them into my hotkey bars. You can do a lot more with the hotkeys, but we will talk about that later, so no worries. For now, it's just the hot setup. Next thing I want to talk about is your chat window. Let's see if I can trigger that tutorial, because there's a tutorial about it. Yeah, communication is a key part of the game and can be extremely helpful at all stages. If you run into trouble or have questions, knowing how and who to ask for help will be a lifesaver. Istaria has communication channels for this very purpose, but to talk on a channel, you must first join it. Fortunately, joining a channel is easy. Right-click on your primary chat window and choose Browse Chat Channels. This will display the list of channels in the game you can join. Yeah, I think I'm even boring Spitfire with this. No worries, I'm done soon. Now, this chat window is blinking, but I know for a fact that this is my primary chat window because the chat bar is open here. And this down here is the Browse Player Chat Channels, so I'm gonna hit this one. They want us to join. Do you see the channel named New Player? Select it from the list, then press the join button. New player assistance here. I don't want to join this because I'm not a new player, but I recommend it for you. Instead, I want to join the marketplace, and I'm going to hit join. Now you see this new tab opened down here. New tabs will always go to the primary chat window, so this is the primary chat window. Congratulations, you have joined your first channel. The new player assistance channel and marketplace are good places to ask questions if you get stuck or just want to meet some people. Other channels you might consider adding are general for just chatting with people and making friends, and marketplace for buying and selling. You have now completed the communications tutorial. Remember to use the help button on the right side of any window title bar if you have questions about the window. To open the title bar on this one, right click it, look for the properties and show title. It's that easy if the title is missing. Only the hotkey bars don't have a title, so you will not be able to access this little help button down there. But don't worry, I'll explain everything to you. No worries. Now, I want to make the chat window only half transparent because if there's a new log in any of those tabs, this tab will actually start to blink, like the main chat tab right now. I have joined the marketplace chat channel. Yeah, that's something I already know. Then I want to move down the border transparency and lock it in place. Maybe make it a little bit smaller. Okay. That's it basically for the chat window tutorial, but there is more to it. You see this little button down here with emote list window. Now, there is a whole bunch of emote lists for your character. If you press them, your character is going to do that animation. For example, for the bow. That's how you can communicate a little bit with other characters. Try around a little bit, because it just bowed respectfully to Spitfire. With this little button here, you can expand or contract the chat window. With this, you can open a new chat tab for yourself. I'm going to explain this later. With this, you can close the current chat tab, which you just opened. This is the browse player chat channels. I know. And these are the chat settings that I just showed you. The other chat window down here, this is your combat log. If someone or something is hitting someone or something, you get information about it here. The tiny grass beetles and the brown spiders were pretty active recently, so I don't want all of this information. I'm gonna cut it a little bit. I will open the chat settings via right click and chat settings. Now I'm going to explain this little window down here. Basically, you can change the colors of everything here for yourself. Just double click it and play around a little bit, and then you hit the OK button. I'm not gonna do that right now. For example, if someone says something, it's gonna be white. If somebody tells you something, it's gonna be this color. Emotes are this color, as you see down here. If you change it to another color, the emotes will change to that color. But this is my combat log. I don't want so much information. I only want the animation from me, so I'm going to uncheck everything that's against me or others. You don't have to do this, but I assure you, if you want to keep track with your own skills, and you're in a bigger battle, this chat tab is going to roll so fast, you're not going to be able to keep up with it, so I only want it from me. With this little box, you can check everything, and with this box, you can uncheck everything. Here, if you open multiple chat tabs, you can give it a new name. The default command prefix is basically pretty easy. You type something in here. When you hit the OK button now and type something down here, each time you say something, whatever you typed in here will be typed into the chat first. So, nothing for right now. We'll play around with this a little bit later. This is a read-only chat. This is because I can't check the primary chat right now. If I uncheck this, I could make this my primary chat window, and then the chat tab would also appear. But I think it wouldn't disappear over here if I put it on read-only. Oops, now I can uncheck this. I want this to stay in my primary chat window because every new chat tab goes to the primary chat window, and I want this to be my primary one. You can also change the font size, make it smaller or bigger if the game can keep up. And if you're done with everything, hit OK. Now I have all the combat information about me over here. Now let's just quickly change the properties. And lock it in position. That's basically for the chat tabs. I think this is almost everything about the HUD now. There's one last thing I want to change before I'm done with all of this tutorial. You can actually change the theme of your whole HUD. Open the options and go to video. Now here you can change the theme from default to anything you might like. I don't know what exactly might fit Cardia, but I'm gonna show you everything. Amethyst. Looks like this. Ignore this. It will pop up every time you change the theme. It's the re-explanation of the chat channel. I don't know why. The emerald theme looks like this. Greenish. Then there's the garnet theme. Then we have ice. It's one of the recent new additions. I really like it. I'll probably go with this one. Then there's lava. And sapphire, which I currently have on Pryzm, but I'll also change it to ice. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the ice one for Cardia. When you hit apply and then OK. I can close this one, we don't need it anymore. Now, if I relog now, this button up here will also change its appearance. For this you have to relog. I think for Sapphire it's actually a bigger button. It looks pretty nice if you have seen the screenshot of Pryzm. Well, that's it for the character creation and the screen setup. However, there are more windows that you can open for your HUD. I'll explain these in an extra window as they aren't essential at the moment. They're just some nice additions for those who want them. The next part is going to be about adventuring and combat, and the third part about crafting. Sorry, yeah, I know Spitfire. This took long, but it was necessary, and now everything is explained about the HUD. Anything additional will be later on. So, we've done this essential part, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I tried to stay more compact this time and be more fluent. Hope you liked it. And having said that, till next time.